Hey there, it's John from Living the Music. Today we're going to celebrate the music of the legendary Ronnie James Dio. We're going to do a ranking of his top 10 most inspirational lyrics. So Ronnie's one of my favorite all-time artists. He's certainly my favorite heavy metal singer. I first got into him with the Heaven and Hell album back in 1980 when I was in high school. I followed him all throughout his career from then on. Of course, I went back to his Rainbow stuff and even his Elf stuff as well. I just love his work. I just think almost everything he put out is pure gold. And I think he's also a special individual, somebody who was very smart, of course, very thoughtful, and very caring of his fans as well. He always found time for his fans after his shows, and so it's not just another artist. He was somebody really special and worth celebrating in many ways. And this is just my one little small tribute to the man and his artistry. So diving in here, we're going to start with number 10 on my ranking of top 10 most inspirational Ronnie James Dio songs. We're going with the song called Love Is All. Now this comes from this Roger Glover and Friends album. This is a concept album, The Butterfly Ball and the Grasshopper's Feast from 1974. Ronnie co-wrote this song, and it's fairly fluff in terms of, a lot of the lyrics of it. It's kind of like, we're all of our friends have got together and we're having this ball, and isn't it great? We get to just spend this wonderful time together. But I think the title of it and the way he sings it is a deep idea, and he brings depth to it by the passion in which he sings it. But yeah, the idea of love is all, I think is really powerful in its own right, and I do think it's very valid to think about love is everywhere if you're willing to be open to receiving it and perceiving it. So by the way, I can't believe I held on to this album throughout all my vinyl and CD purges over the years. I guess occasionally I just got to have some Butterfly Ball, and especially I got to hear those couple of tunes Ronnie is on. All right. Number 9, most inspirational Ronnie James Dio tunes. We're going to go with Rainbow in the Dark from the debut album of his band Dio. So this came out in 1983. This was a relatively big hit for Ronnie. I was very happy for him at the time that he was getting all this airplay and all this notoriety. What a great launch for the band. Apparently, he wasn't even sure he wanted this song on this album. He felt it was a little too poppy. Indeed, it is poppy. That means it's catchy, which also could mean it's good. I certainly think it is. It has that keyboard hook to it that stays with you. But I think in this case, it is a rather deep idea. He's talking about kind of being lonely or even being shunned or kind of being cast off. And sometimes you're sort of in the dark by yourself. But in that case, you got to be the rainbow in the dark. You're the light in the dark in that sense. And I think that is a wonderful message for us all to consider when times do get dark or get tough, as they inevitably do occasionally. All right, going on to number 8 in our top 10 most inspirational Ronnie James Dio songs, we're going to go with Mystery from his second album as a solo artist, or if you think of Dio as a band, that's fine. But it was Ronnie's project, no doubt. And we're going to go with this song called Mystery. So this was somewhat of a follow-up in its tone to Rainbow in the Dark. I think he was hoping for another hit, so to speak, and it did get some airplay, although it didn't capture the lightning of Rainbow in the Dark. But nevertheless, I think it's a cool tune, very catchy, and the idea of life is a mystery and you're a mystery too, I think is really cool, and maybe I'm making more of it than necessary, but I like the idea of cultivating mystery as much as possible, because it's so alluring to get caught up in having the answers and having all of this certainty about either yourself or other people or life in general. But then that certainty can kind of crush the spirit and crush the energy, whereas when you open up to the mystery, that can sometimes raise the energy, and it, it kind of like, it's of course, with the mystery, you bring in the curiosity, and with that, the learning, and there's something fun and magical about that. So mystery is number 8 on our list. Number 7, we're going to go to the Dehumanizer album and the song I. So this was his reunion with Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler. They brought back Vinny Appice on drums, so they're trying to recapture the magic of Mob Rules. This is a different sounding album from 1992 than the 80s stuff, but it's still very good, and he's got some very cool lyrics on here. So we're highlighting the song I, and I think this is especially cool because he doesn't represent I as just completely positive. He brings out that within us are, sort of all facets of being. We can be good, we can be bad, we can be light, we can be dark. We got it all within us. But there is that power, the power of me, the power of I. And, on the extreme, that can be narcissistic and megalomaniac, but for people, especially with a lot of insecurity or they're very shy, let's say, in their bearing, maybe this idea of owning your power is very important, and you don't have to be perfect. You got it all within you, and that's fine. Own it. All right, so moving on, going to number 6 on our list of most inspirational Dio tunes. We're going to go back to the Last in Line album, and this time we're going to highlight the title track. So yeah, I think this is, beyond inspirational, this is one of his greatest songs of all time as well, certainly one of my favorites. I think the lyrical idea here that I take from this is that we get to be, if we choose, the last in line of defense of the truth. When there's lies and deceit and bullshit and con artists that are running rampant, we get to say, no, it stops with us. We're not participating. We're going to hold you to the fire. We're not buying into it. Your bullshit. We're holding the line. We're the last in line. If so be it, we'll be the last in line. Again, that's a very powerful, deep idea. All right, going on now to number 5 in our list. Going to the top 5, we're going to go back to the debut of the band Dio and the fantastic song, the opener of the album. Wow, what a rousing tune. Stand Up and Shout. Like, we don't really need to say much more than that. If you're a Dio fan, you've certainly heard that song before. And I mean, what a way to open an album, and like, yeah, it's rock. It's like, sort of, shout in the sense of, get into the show, get into the concert, get into this loud music that you're playing. But I think also it's like, again, own your power, stand up and shout. You got a voice, don't lose it. It's you got that voice for a reason, and let it out, man. Let it out. You got the power. You got desire. Let it out. As he so powerfully screams in a way that you can't miss the message, and it's one that we should never get tired of hearing. All right, moving on. Number 4 on our list of top 10 most inspirational Ronnie James Dio songs. I'm going to go with this song called Stars. Stars. Now, I don't have an album to show for that, but this was a charity single that he put together. He brought in a lot of other heavy metal, hard rock artists to participate in this. This was kind of like their version of, not Live Aid, but, the We Are the World song. And this is the metal version of it, or the hard rock version of it. So I think this is a one of his really straightforward, just most uplifting songs. And in fact, I want to read these lyrics here, if you don't mind. So he says, "Who cries for the children? I do. Sometime in the night when you're feeling the cold, take a look at the sky above you. Those are faces in the light, if the story were told. They are calling you, calling you. We are magic in the night. We are shadow. We are light. We are forever, you and I. We're stars. We're stars. We can be strong. We are fire and stone. And we all want to touch a rainbow. But singers and songs will never change it alone. We are calling you, calling you. We're the beating of a heart, the beginning, we're the start. Forever, we will shine. Yeah, we're stars, we're stars." And then he repeats we are magic in the night, we are shadow, we are light, we are forever, you and I, we're stars, we're stars. So, yeah, I mean, again, that's like, it's tough to miss the message there, but it's powerful, and like, I think many of us can be reluctant to think of ourselves as that way, as like we're important, we matter, we make a difference, our actions, our words, it all makes some difference out there. It's not lost in the mist necessarily. Now, if we just spend our life hiding and avoiding and playing small, maybe a lot of it does get hidden. But if we're willing to embrace being stars in a sense, being heroes in a sense, and in this case he's basically talking about helping the needy people of the world. That's one way to look at it. Then let's do it. Let's get out there and make the difference we are able to make. And if it's not going to be in a charity type situation, that's fine. Do it with your friends, do it with your family, do it within your community. There's many ways to be a star. All right, moving on. Top three, right? Top three. Are we in top three? Yes. So we got to go with the legendary number 3. We're going to go with "Man on a Silver Mountain" from the debut Rainbow album, Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow. Wow. What can you say about "Man on a Silver Mountain"? I mean, it's one of his more, I guess, fantasy type ideas in a sense, if you just take that literally. But looking at the symbolism of it, again, I think he's saying, like, look, you're special. You're special. We all can be special. Yeah, he's saying man, but it doesn't matter. I mean, man, woman. Like, if you're willing to own it, you can shine like that and be the leader. Be that strong force. Why not you? Why not any of us? I think he would say, it's not about him necessarily. I think he was happy to take up the mantle as much as he could, but his message was, it's available to any of us if we have the courage. All right, moving on. We're into the top 2 now. Number 2, I'm going to go with the song "Heaven and Hell." Why I don't have the vinyl of that, don't get me started, but I will rectify that fairly soon. But I do have this deluxe version of the album here. Again, this was the album that got me into Dio back in the day. And who can deny the majesty of this title track, "Heaven and Hell"? Wow. They say that life's a carousel. You ride it fast, you got to ride it well. It's spinning fast, you got to ride it well. The world is full of kings and queens who blind your eyes and steal your dreams. It's heaven and hell. So yeah, I mean, again, this has like a depth to it. It's not all just like sort of a fairy tale. He's saying you got to beware sometimes, and I think that is maybe a kind of strange way to think of inspiration, but I think it is. It's an important message. There are kings and queens and even non-kings and queens that will blind your eyes and steal your dreams, and you got to be aware of it. You got to be awake to it. If you're just so naive as to think that you're untouchable and no one's ever going to try to take advantage of you, then you could really be laid low in a horrific way. So let's remember, it is heaven and hell. And also, as I've referenced before, I think he would agree, heaven and hell really exists within each of us, and it's up to us to decide which one's going to come out within our actions and our thoughts at any given time. All right, now what could be left, right? I mean, I've touched on most of the classics. As much as I'd love to put Stargazer in here, maybe his greatest song of all time, I didn't think the lyric was necessarily a quote-unquote inspirational lyric, so that'll have to be on the top 10 greatest Ronnie James Dio songs. But as for inspiration, I've got one left here to share with you, which may be a bit of a sleeper track, but to me, it's very important. It comes from his Dio album, Angry Machines. When did this come out? 1996. So this was like, within the whole grunge movement. Metal was on kind of a downward spiral at the time. But he kept going. He started playing smaller shows, but so be it. He was doing his job and staying in the game. So the song I want to point to here is called This Is Your Life. This Is Your Life. And this is the last song on this album. It's a slower song. It's more in the vein of his track Rainbow Eyes that's on the Rainbow album Long Live Rock and Roll. This is a very powerful tune sung, very sort of quietly by Ronnie. And again, this is one I want to read to you here. So he says, or he sings, "Who cares what came before? We were only starlight one day, then nevermore. Because we're whispers in the wind. Once upon a time, the world was never blind like we are. Right now, it seems you're only dreams and shadows. If wishes could be eagles, hell, you'd fly. This is your life. This is your time. What if the flame won't last forever? This is your here. This is your now. Let it be magical. Who cares what came before? We're only starlight. Once upon a time, all the world was blind like we are. This is your life. This is your time. Look at your world. This is your life." So, yeah, I mean, simple message, you could say, straightforward, but to me, very deep, very inspirational. Just like, yeah, you don't have forever. Unfortunately, we lost Ronnie too soon. Who knows when our time will be up? But he's saying, come on, it's not about what happened in the past. It's not even about someday. It's about right now. Own your life. Make the most of it. You only got this one shot, more than likely, so make it count. Thank you, Ronnie, for that beautiful message. And please go listen to the song in addition to just watching this video, because his delivery of it will really touch your heart, I'm sure. So thank you so much for watching this ranking. While we're here, I'll share with you my history with Ronnie in terms of concerts. I first saw him in the Heaven and Hell tour, actually. So he was doing what's called, or Black Sabbath was a part of a bill that was called Day on the Green in the Bay Area. This is a legendary, sort of multi-band rock event that took place in the summers in the Bay Area. They do it 2 or 3 times each summer. Man, we would always look forward to that. It was so fantastic. They would do it at the Oakland Arena. The not the Coliseum, the stadium, Oakland Stadium, where where the A's used to play, and it was just fantastic. Like, I can't remember all the bands that played that day, but I think Journey closed the show, and like Sabbath played before that. So think about that, Black Sabbath and Journey. But it didn't matter. It was all great music. So this was pretty interesting because this was Ronnie's first tour with Sabbath. This was my first time seeing Sabbath, so I didn't really have anything to compare it to in terms of the Ozzy years. So I was blown away. It was absolutely, mind-blowingly fantastic, and what a great introduction to seeing Ronnie live. Then I think the next time I saw him was with the Dio band, and I was lucky enough, believe it or not, to see him at his first show that they ever performed as Dio. This took place in Antioch, California, at kind of this barn type of situation. I think it was an outdoor kind of. I don't know. Maybe there was a barn nearby or something, but this was a legendary show. I don't even think the album had come out yet, or if it did, just barely. So we got to see a very young Vivian Campbell at that time. I don't even think he was 20 years old yet. So this was his first show with Ronnie. Wow, what a mind-blowing experience again. I'm just so blessed that I got to see this. Let's see, after that, I know I saw him again. Yeah, I saw him on the Sacred Heart tour, actually. So, when he had that big dragon contraption in the back of the stage. So this was, 85, maybe 85, 86. And this was in Los Angeles. So now I was in college at the time. And he was at the LA Forum. Yeah, I got to go see Ronnie James Dio. Yeah. So that was, again, epic and awesome and incredible. Then after that, I remember seeing him at I think it was this Angry Machines tour, actually. He came to San Francisco and he played I believe at the Fillmore, which is a smaller club out there, but a legendary club. It was really cool to see him in this smaller venue. He'd gotten up there in age a little bit at that time, but he was still great. He had this guitarist Tracy G on guitar. He was cool, He wasn't Vivian, but he did his own thing. I enjoyed it. And then what else? I think probably the next time I saw him was with Heaven and Hell. When he came back with Tony and Geezer and Vinny, and they were doing the Heaven and Hell thing. I think I might have saw him twice, actually, in a couple of different tours of that. That was, again, just incredible. He was really up there in years, although you look at it now and you see these artists going into their 80s. He was in his 60s, but he was still killing it. The guys killed it, and unfortunately that was my last opportunity to see him. So we still have the music to go back to, as always, in our memories. That's the great thing with these recording artists. You always can enjoy the music. And he's got some great live albums, too, that we can put on anytime. So there you go. Those are some of my reminiscence of Ronnie James Dio. You got the ranking to comment on if you choose. I'd love it if you would like this video. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. We do a lot of these kind of top 10 inspirational rankings, but we do deep dives into albums, songs. We do occasionally some philosophical stuff. So if you like that kind of thing, kind of eclectic videos, but focused on music, make us one of your destinations. All right. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have an inspirational day. Go listen to some Dio. Take care till next time.